the stages of bisexuality, or my experience growing up bisexual. So I never thought too much about my sexuality because I was told you're gonna get a girlfriend one day, you're gonna marry a woman, and have kids. I was just an average guy. I never thought too much about what my future would look like. And when I got older, I watched the movie Step Up with my grandma, and I noticed the main character, Channing Tatum. I didn't know why I liked him so much. And I thought to myself, wow, he's really cute, handsome, good looking, attractive. What was the right or appropriate adjective to describe another man? And I felt so fucking conflicted trying to figure out how to describe him without being gay, because I'm like, well, if you say he's cute, that means you're gay. And I didn't even enjoy the movie. I watched the whole movie and battled myself. I had such this strong internal monologue of you need to figure out your sexuality, because if you like him, then you're not straight. But I told myself, I mean, I've kissed girls before. I had innocent childhood girlfriends when I was a kid, so how could I like him? I struggled so much with my sexuality, and I didn't even know if I even had one. That's how confusing it was. I didn't think there was a term bisexual. I just thought it was black and white. You're either gay or straight, and that's it. And I went through a lot of my life thinking that way. I didn't date anyone. I never had a girlfriend, never had a boyfriend. I didn't have sex until I was in my 30s. And I never talked about it with anyone. I was just so scared of myself and anxious. I was so anxious and scared because I'm like, who do I talk to about this? No one's going through this. This is such a unique problem that I'm having. And I didn't know what to do. So I guess you could say I was confused for like maybe 10 years. I didn't know what my sexuality was. And I would say I got Grindr when I was in my mid-20s. I started meeting guys, talking to them, and it started out with being bi-curious. And I would just meet up with guys and we do things. And I remember the first time I did something with a guy, I had a panic attack. And I was scared. I was like, this is wrong. This isn't healthy. And I feel so bad for him because he was probably like, what's wrong with him? And I was like, I have to go. And I left. And I remember it was raining outside. And I was just walking through New York City like a ghost, unsure of who I was. And this year, finally, I hooked up with a girl. And I was like, okay, I liked it. I liked the experience. And I remember like we were having sex and I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, okay, so I must be straight, or this is what a masculine guy does. Like that's what I was thinking. Because most of my life I felt like I wasn't masculine. I didn't think that I was man enough or that people could take me seriously as a man. And I remember like I felt like the man. Like I felt powerful, like a king. Like I left her house and I was just like, yeah, I did it. And then like 5 hours later, I was just like, the feeling disappeared. I felt normal again. I just felt like, okay, now what? And after that, I started connecting with people online and talking about, sexuality, my experiences, and I met a lot of people who said the same thing. Like, I didn't know what my sexuality was. I was just confused for most of my life, and I didn't know how to express it. And I realized so many people who are bisexual are on the bicycle. So you may go through a period or a season in your life where you're like, I love women, I'm attracted to women, and then you fluctuate, and then you start dating guys, talking to guys, and that's what you like. And I feel like for most people, people who aren't in the LGBT community wouldn't understand, and they think you're confused or you haven't found the right guy, you haven't found the right girl. For me as a guy, obviously other men told me, oh, well, maybe you're confused. Or, I mean, if you've never been with a girl, how would you know? And I would be like, well, I was with women. I just didn't have sex. I was 13 when I had a girlfriend. So I wasn't at the age where I should be having sex anyway. And I think a lot of bisexual people are what we call late bloomers. So we didn't really date. We didn't have sex like most of our peers. We weren't out there exploring and partying and like, you know, like the college frat boys who are at a party, they have the red cups, they're drinking liquor, they're getting drunk. They're like in groups with their buddies saying, yeah, like we're gonna get girls tonight and get laid. Like I didn't have that experience. I didn't have many guy friends growing up. I didn't know how to navigate life, and you know, I wasn't really living life like the average guy. I was alone most of my teenage years. I didn't have friends. So I think that made it worse. I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have anyone to relate to. And I don't know if other bi people relate, but that was my experience. I just didn't really know what to think of myself. A lot of it was shame. A lot of it was guilt. There was a few years of my life where I identified as gay. And even if I met people, they assumed that about me. And I wouldn't correct them because, yeah, if I'm saying, oh, this customer's cute, people are like, oh, okay, he's gay. And then I would have people be like, wait, are you bisexual? Because I had a coworker who was obsessed with sex. He was always talking about girls and sex. And I would be like, oh, okay, that's hot, that's cool. And one day he was like, are you bisexual? And I was like, why? And he's like, because I thought you were gay, but I always talk about women with you and you're kind of into it. Like, you don't seem scared or weird about it. And I was like, I mean, it's just sex. Why would I be weird about it? Even if I was gay. But it was just weird because people saw me differently. Some people saw me as gay. Some people saw me as straight. Some people saw me as a question mark. They didn't know what I was. That is what it's like being bisexual. Nobody will ever get your sexuality right. The way you see yourself is very different from how others perceive you. Especially if you're a bisexual man. If you're masculine, people think you're straight. If you're more feminine, people think that you're gay. Most people think that I'm gay because I'm not like super masculine. I'm not alpha. I don't walk into a room and try to be the loudest guy in the room. I don't need to go to a bar and slam my car down and announce that I'm ordering Tito's and soda or whatever popular drink there is. I'm not like that. I was never like a loud guy. I think in America especially, that's where I'm from, we have this strong idea of what a man should be like and what a woman should be like. Men need to be loud, confident, stoic, never scared or afraid of anything, sure of himself. And if you don't fall into that, it's kind of like, okay, so he's a wimp. He's gay. He's not a man. So that's something that I struggle with a lot. Not only being confused about my sexuality, but also not feeling like I was masculine enough. That is the hardest thing. Like, even if I identified as straight, trying to talk to women and get a girlfriend felt impossible because I'm like, if most people see me as feminine or not masculine enough, why would I even try? Why would I try? It's pointless. And I remember one guy in particular really pissed me off. I had just moved out of my mom's apartment. He was driving me to my new apartment. We're on the road and we're talking about religion, and I mentioned I used to be Mormon. And I said, yeah, it didn't work out for me. And he kept asking me why, and I said, I just don't like certain things that they believe in. I didn't really want to get too in depth with it because I didn't want to tell him my sexuality. And he was like, does your mom know that you tried to commit suicide? And I was like, yeah, she knows. She was there when the EMTs came to my apartment. And he said, okay, and does your mom know that you're gay? And I was like, how did you know that? And he was like, I mean, it's obvious. It's like, how could you not see that? And inside, I felt so angry because I'm like, how the fuck do you know if I'm gay or straight just from looking at me and talking to me? We have been in this car for maybe 10 minutes. You don't know me. All you know is what you think I should be. I didn't say that, and I wish that I did, but I just kind of mentally shut down. And I remember he said, listen, it's okay if a guy wants to be gay. I don't care. But I would say at least try to have sex with a woman before you choose that. So there's me, the guy who just said that, and then my friend in the back. And I just froze, and I was just like, what the hell? This is the advice that all guys give to gay men or bisexual men. It's like, just have sex with a woman. And it made me not want to. It made me not want to do it just because I didn't want to prove them right. Because what if I did have a girlfriend or have sex with a woman and then I like it, and then they might say, so sexuality is a choice. You were just confused. That's probably the scariest thing for a bisexual person, to be wrong about yourself. And then you're like, so now I have to figure out who I am all over again. It's not fun. It's a very crappy situation. And I think our society makes us feel guilty for not knowing something, not knowing what job you want to do, not knowing if you want kids, not knowing what you want to do with your life. You just have to always be sure of yourself. And I feel like you don't have to. It's okay if you're unsure. I remember feeling like an imposter because if one person I knew 5 years ago saw me as gay, and then I'm talking about, oh yeah, I had a date with a girl yesterday, they're gonna be like, so you lied? You're not gay? And that's a horrible feeling, like just feeling like you lied to yourself or you lied to another person. But I don't think you should feel that way. Anyone who's bi and watching this, even if you identify as pansexual, whatever, you don't need to feel guilty if maybe you felt one way 5 years ago, but then today you feel something else. Like, sexuality really is fluid. That's what I learned. And we're always taught to limit ourselves because we live in a world where if you're a guy, you date a girl. If you're a girl, you date a guy. And that's it. There is no in between. But maybe most of us are ambiguous. Ambiguous means there's no definitive left or right. You're somewhere in the middle. That's how I felt most of my life. I just felt like I could easily fit in most social situations, and I was just absorbing different personalities and actions, but I was just very fluid with everything. I could hang out with a straight guy, a gay girl, a straight girl, and I'm okay. But that's something I'm working on, like being confident in that. This year was especially hard because I felt like the color gray. Gray is the color no one ever thinks of, nobody wants, people forget exists, but it's still there. It's just not the standard color. I would say that sums up being bisexual. You just kind of feel like you're the forgotten color in the crayon box. But it's okay if you're still figuring out your sexuality, if you're trying to figure out, what does my future look like? Am I gonna date guys? Am I gonna date girls? We are all still figuring out life, and a lot of us didn't have the same childhood that our straight peers had, and that's okay. I'm in my 30s figuring out what I want and what I like. And I'm giving myself permission to do that. I don't need permission from anyone else. If I want to be with the guy today, I can. If I want to be with the girl tomorrow, I can. I would say that's it. Just don't overthink it like my friend says. Like, sexuality is very fluid and gray. You shouldn't be hard on yourself or feel guilty or like an imposter or like you don't know who you are. Because I think you will always know who you are, even if it changes. Like, if you feel like you're bisexual, you probably are. Being bisexual is not binary. It's not like being straight or gay. It's very complex. That's it. That's my message today. I hope that if you're bisexual like me, you can feel confident after this video. And if you don't, that's okay. But find a way to love yourself and accept the way you are. I think bisexual people always come to a point where we realize, whether it's sooner or later, I just am the way I am.